Younger than anyone in this Zoom right now.
Yeah, how old were you when you joined Belasco?
I think I was 12, but you guys were like 9, right? 8?
Yeah,
We're a few years younger.
Yeah, I was 9.
Yeah.
Which was your first show that you were in?
The first show that I did with Belasco, and you guys maybe know this, that Belasco is the theater company that the three of us were in together.
Oh, okay.
You guys have talked about it before, I'm sure. It's
yeah.
part of your legacy.
They see Eddie's picture
Yes.
on the wall every day at the studio.
So my first show was Guys and Dolls. Were you guys in that?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
I was.
Jerusha was. You were like you wore a big blue bow.
Yes, and we actually have those costumes, and some of our students have those little costumes. Amazing.
So I was in 8th grade, and I had been, I had been in some school plays, like some just little ones that in elementary school and junior high, but I wanted to sort of like take it to the next level. Actually, I remember I went with a friend and saw Pajama Game, which I don't know if you guys were in. You probably were. Yeah.
We were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And ICDT did Pajama Game.
Okay. It was one of those things, like I went and saw it, and I was like, I want to do that. Why? Like I almost couldn't even enjoy it because I was like, I gotta get up there. Like, how did you guys get to do that? Well, we're all the same age, and you're on stage, and I'm just sitting in the dumb audience. I just was like, get me up there. And so then I joined Belasco. I did Guys and Dolls, and was the way we did it. And I don't know if you guys do it like this, but we had like rotating casts.
Yeah.
So, which was really fun. I played General Cartwright. And then on the other day I would be like a dude, like in a cool suit, and just sort of backgroundy stuff, which I actually really enjoyed. And I think I discovered how much I liked comedy in the small parts, because you could you had a little bit more freedom to sort of, you didn't have to worry about lines, and you didn't have to worry about, it was a little bit more like the feeling, how do I explain this? It's like when I got to play the smaller parts, I got to enjoy being on stage more. It was more like settling into what it felt like to be on stage, and, do your blocking and do your choreography and all that stuff, but you could kind of feel the audience, and it wasn't so stressful about singing or solos and lines. It was just like sort of feeling the cast and feeling the audience. And I think that's sort of where I discovered my love for ensemble, for like being a part of a cast, and how fun it was to watch the other performers, and how fun it was to have your little moments with each other that the audience doesn't even see. And those were like the magic things for me, the little like almost inside jokes that you would have with the rest of the cast or the crew or whoever. I really fell in love with it. And then after Guys and Dolls, I did Little Abner,
mm-hmm.
which was so fun. And then I went to high school, and I sort of started doing high school theater instead of Belasco. Do I regret it? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. But you kind of just do what I was like. Once I got to high school, I was playing sports, and I was doing theater, and I was also just being a teenager, and I sort of had to like focus my energy, but I would go to all of your shows, as you guys probably remember. I mean, we were all still friends. We were all still hanging out all the time, and it was painful to like miss out on all that stuff. But I sort of had to make one of those adult decisions of like, what did I want to do? Be a water polo player with my life? No. Why did I do that? But,
and what high school did you go to?
I went to San Ramon High. Do we have any Danville? Yeah. Oh, really? Oh my gosh, you guys, wait, did I meet any of you? Like, yeah. Okay, yes, wait, I'm gonna just look at your names. Nathan, did we meet?
Yeah, I was there.
And Noah, and Morgan.
It was the best day of my life.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. Yes, that's right. Wait, Kate? No, you weren't there, Kate, were you? No. Anybody else? Sean? Or are you just new to San Ramon? Okay, anyway. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and put on some lip balm as I speak to you.
Can I say something, Darcy, about the lip balm? So my fondest memory of you was that you used to do my lips.
Yes,
you would do my liner, you would do the lip balm first. You had this whole process, and that's one of the fondest memories of you. I think there's a picture of like you too.
I would love to see that picture. I remember that so clearly.
Okay.
And it's so funny because I was a kid, but you were a younger kid. So I would, yes, it makes perfect sense that I would do your makeup.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
anyway,
really cute.
So we go way back. And obviously, Darcy, so you grew up, you found your love of theater. Is there anything that prepared you for where you are now, starting out back when you were younger doing community theater?
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of things that sort of help you become a professional actor, help you on your journey to making this your career. And some of it is really simple stuff like learning how to work in an ensemble and learning how to work with a cast and learning how to take direction and simple, I did what you guys are doing. And then I ended up majoring in theater in college. But some of the jobs that I would have early on after college, the people that didn't study theater, it was obvious, like having this language, having this knowledge that we all have. Gosh, I remember doing a show with somebody out of college, like in my 20s, and he kept turning his back to the audience, and I was like, I'm gonna kill you. I wanted to strangle him. It was like, just little things you learn that become second nature to you guys. It is glaringly obvious when you're out in the real world. You guys have such a leg up, and you understand, like I said, like language, you had to learn what blocking was. You had to learn what, I'm trying to think of, like whether you guys have, I don't know how much you've gotten into like, you'll learn all these things about how to like dissect a script and what your intention is and all these things that when you don't necessarily know that when you're just like, oh, I want to be an actor, So there's a lot, like having that wealth of knowledge going into college, honestly, going into high school, going into college, going into, auditioning, going into like jobs. It was, I felt like what I felt was prepared, which is like, oh my gosh, right? That's like in a situation, an audition or on stage where it's just scary. It's just scary and nerve-wracking, and you feel out of control. To have some control over, I know how to do this, and the feeling of like, oh, I'm ready, instead of like, oh gosh, I hope I don't screw up, or I hope I don't, I like the feeling of this sort of, acting is kind of scary, and there's always the what ifs, and there's always the like nerves, but having like this sort of baseline of I know what I'm doing is just worth everything. It's just going to help you so much, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I like pretending. Okay, I think Kate, there's like a picture of a cat, and I'm just pretending that that cat is listening.
Yes, and they are.
The cat is like taking notes. They're like, okay, so on stage.
Oh, there she is. There's Kate.
No, Kate, you don't have to turn your video on. I just was like, I just was called. Oh, I'm sorry. Just
You're
cute.
So Darcy, so take us fast forward a little bit, and we do have a lot of good place questions came up.
Okay, great.
So we'll get there.
Great. I'll show you a little. Look at who's that? Janet, right there. It was one of the in the town square. Like.
Oh, really? You
just,
got to bring that home?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Or smuggle it out.
Yeah.
Shirt.
I think I didn't steal it, but I don't know if it was like, I don't know how that I got it, but I got it.
Awesome. Well, so let's fast forward a little bit. So so college, you studied acting. You went to New York.
Okay. Yeah. Studied acting in college. I went to Southern Oregon University, which is right above you guys in Ashland, Oregon. And then I had the feeling in high school that I wanted to go to New York. Like all through high school, I knew I was going to go to school in New York. There was no question about it. I was going to go to NYU or some school in New York. And then when it came time to like, what is the word? Register for school? What do you call it? apply, apply to colleges and think about where I was actually going to go. I got really nervous and really like preemptively homesick. The idea of leaving my family and being that far away, just, I thought I was going to be able to handle it and I knew I couldn't, which I think was right because when I went to school in Ashland, I drove home like every other week. I'm a baby. And but then during college I still had that pull to New York. So I mean, right after I graduated, I moved to New York and it was great. It was crazy. It was, Jerusha and Shayna and I were lucky enough to know we had an older generation of actors that we knew that we did plays with that were established. I mean, they had been, working in New York, whether a couple of them were on Broadway, a few of them had just gone to college there, but it was nice to have a sort of security. I mean, gosh, it's not really a security blanket because nobody can help you other than yourself, but it's nice to just not to it wasn't like I had no one to ask questions to or no one to turn to. You could kind of see, okay, this is how you do it. But I mean, it was hard, guys. Going to New York and trying to be an actor is like, guess what? Everybody is doing that. Yeah. It's a crazy thing to get to New York and you realize like, oh, you guys were all in theater and you kind of work your way up in your town or in your college or whatever. And then all of a sudden you go to New York and everybody did that. And it can be very, I mean, I certainly don't want to like talk anybody out of this career. That's not my intention at all. But I do want to tell you guys that it's, this, it's not easy, but it is great. It's not easy, but it is great. If you love it and you keep loving it as much as you're loving it right now, you will love the hard parts. And the rejection is obviously, painful, but you get used to it and that becomes okay. And that becomes part of the process. And the fun little, I always think of like some of the plays I did where I didn't get paid or where I can think of something like this, like show I did in Brooklyn where the dressing room had like a leak. It was like in a warehouse and there was like a leak and it was freezing and you had to like keep your jacket on as you would get changed because it was so cold. Those are like some of my favorite memories. And so, it's a weird thing as an actor because you have a goal, you're like, you see your favorite actors, you see your favorite movie, you see whatever, and you go like, that's what I want. And you kind of forget that there's so much to get to that. And this part, the so much part is like so fun. It's so fun. And it's where you meet your people, like how you guys have met each other. Cause you're not all in school together, obviously. Yeah. Right. So, I remember the feeling of like, wait, am I talking too much?
You're good. I mean, you are, you're sort of leading us into, actually, Sean had a question that is really kind of all about this. So Great. Maybe I can have him ask it and then you
Please.
Can continue
yes.
On your path. So Sean.
Hi, Sean.
Hi. Were there any moments of rejection or self-doubt that like made you want to quit, and what helped you get through those moments?
Great question. Were there any moments of rejection? What if I was like, nope, there weren't. No moments of rejection. There were so many moments of rejection. It was mostly that. That's when I think of like coming up. I mean, I also will say I was not the, where you guys are now. I was not the lead a lot. And that even in itself was a rejection, like a tiny rejection. From high school to college, when I think of being like the lead of a play, I can think of like 2 plays, and I did plays all the time. So even that was enough to get in my head to be like, well, if I'm not the lead of my like community theater show, then there's no way I will be, there obviously something, I'm not good enough if I can't even get the lead of that. And so there's like a million rejections along the way. And it's so easy to talk yourself into, I'm not good enough and this person's better. And they got 2 more lines than me. And, like the ways we sort of get in our own way. But I think that having this feel like not being the lead, let's say not being the lead in the high school play, prepared me for these mini rejections you get every day as an actor. Because, you know, like when you, like, let's say when I'm in New York and I I was in New York for 10 years and I would audition for commercials and audition for bit parts on TV shows. I got like 0.00001% of those things. You audition every day and you occasionally get a job. So I think, you know, I had already sort of trained my brain at your age to be like, okay, this isn't going to come easily for you. You love it so much. You can't think of anything else you'd rather do. So keep doing it. But this isn't going to be like a walk in the park for you. You're not going to be like handed the roles that you maybe want. So I do feel like I remember kind of deciding that I wanted to major in theater in college. And that was, even at that age, I was kind of like already set on it. I was already like, I've never loved anything more. This is the only thing I've seen. And this isn't the same story for everybody. So if you're thinking right now, like, oh gosh, I also like baking. Does that mean I should be a baker? This is not like you have to know that you want to be an actor at this point. It's not about that. Everybody has their own path, for sure. So don't get in your head about that. Unless you do want to be a baker, then baby, go be a baker. You know what I mean? But I think I had sort of realized at a young age that this was what I wanted to do in any way, shape, or form. Whether I was, at Nicole Kidman's level, I don't know, I just picked a random actor, or whether I was I would be happy with a million different outcomes, you know, because there's so many things you can do as an actor. Every town has a theater, you know, every country has theater. Like you can live wherever, you can do theater everywhere, you know, there's teaching, there's so many different ways to be part of theater and to be part of acting and to be part of writing. And you know, it's a big, small world, I guess, if that makes sense. So, okay, how do I even answer this question? I never had a moment where I was going to quit acting, but I have had little check-ins along the way of like, maybe the thing that you hoped would happen isn't going to happen, or because I don't know if you guys do this, but I look at other people that are the same age as me, and I think if they are already at this level and I'm not, then that means I'll never be there. And I think that is something that sort of got in my way a little bit, and realizing that everybody's sort of on their own path and on their own timeline. And I remember knowing that I wanted to be an actor as a kid, watching TV. And if there was a kid on TV, I was like, well, okay, so they're doing the thing that I wanted to do, and I'm not there yet, so I guess it's not going to happen for me. And sort of coming to terms with, this is later in life, coming to terms with everybody being on their own schedule and on their own timeline. So I think it wasn't so much quitting as it was like sort of readjusting my ideas of what I was happy doing. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I know about your time at Upright Citizens Brigade, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing a lot of improv stuff there, which actually next to you on my screen is Benny, who's one of our awesome teachers.
Oh, hi, Benny.
Where he is on your screen. But
you're right below me.
Okay, cool. He does a lot of improv with our students, and he's actually teaching our part of our camp in just a little bit.
Oh, that's so fun.
But so you did a lot of that, which is all, live and on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm going to lead us into Morgan. I think Morgan has a good question.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
That's not my question.
Oh.
Okay, so I was wondering if you have a preference between stage and film acting, and would you say are the main differences between the two?
It's such a good question. They're so different. And there, of course, are so many similarities. But what I would say is having a theater background will prepare you for success in film as opposed to the other way around. Meaning you're more prepared to be a film actor having a background in theater than the other way around. The other way around, I can't even imagine. So to me, the main difference is, and this is like, and I love them both for sure, and I want to continue to do both of them, but the thing that I love about theater that you really don't get to do in film and TV acting is like sit in a long scene and just act. When you're doing a play, you get to act for like 2 hours. When you're doing a movie or a TV, you act for like minutes like a minute, 5 minutes, 30 seconds. And so sometimes it's hard. It's a different, when you're doing a play, you say your line and that's it for the night. Meaning like you say it once and then you're on to the next thing. When you do a TV show, you say that one line 5, 10, 15 times and try it different ways. And it takes some adjusting, and it's very, it's a different way of acting. You don't get to sort of like that feeling when you're sort of in your sweet spot with acting. It's harder to get there with film and TV, I feel like, because you're stopping and starting and you're doing short little spurts, as opposed to this, like, you can kind of sink into this character for 2 hours or, however long the show is. I miss that a lot about theater. And when I find those moments in film and TV, it's like so joyous, and I find it especially with, if you guys watched the show, The Good Place, William Jackson Harper, who plays Chidi, has a background in theater, major background in theater. And I feel like we sort of allow each other to like sink into character a little more. And we always sort of had that since the beginning. But I would say without a doubt, having a background in theater prepares you to be a film actor so much more than the other way around. Because I've certainly worked with and met so many, film actors that don't have that background in it. And it's just a totally different thing. Can't recommend it highly enough. I mean, you guys are already doing it, so I don't need to recommend it. You're doing it.
Yeah. Cool. So since you mentioned The Good Place, let's jump into some of those questions. So first, I just want to see who here has seen The Good Place. Awesome. Okay, cool. And if you haven't, now maybe you'll be inspired to check it out and see.
Yeah.
So let me call on Michaela. Michaela, where are you?
There she is.
There you are. Yeah, go for it.
Hi, Michaela.
Hi. What was the audition process like for The Good Place?
The Good Place audition process was so strange. It was the way a normal TV show audition would be. I mean, or let's just say TV show audition would normally be, especially for the pilot, the first episode, you would get the pilot, you'd read it. You would have a good idea of what your character was. And, you go into the audition, which is probably 2 to 10 people behind the camera. And this one was because The Good Place was very secretive. If you've seen it, it's really twisty, and the creator of the show, Mike Schur, didn't want to have any of that like leaked. He didn't want anyone watching the show to know what the twists and turns would be. So he took all precautions and did something really crazy, which is he didn't release the script at all. So nobody out in Hollywood world knew what this show was at all. They just knew 2 people were involved, Kristen Bell and Ted Danson, 2 actors that, are sort of like universally loved. So, and the creator of the show, Mike Schur, had worked on The Office and Parks and Rec. And again, it had like, people were already sort of thumbs up about it because these guys had a good reputation. So somehow they allowed them to not like release the script. So what I got was a small scene, 3 pages or 4 pages, and it didn't say anything about, if you've seen the show, which it seems like most of you guys have, Janet being like an AI or anything along the lines of robotic computer, anything. I would have, reading this scene, I would have no idea that she wasn't just a regular old human. And the scene was strange. It was like I was playing like a help operator. Like I was on the phone and I was helping somebody. It was like a funny scene, something about like a doll store, and I was working at like a hotline for a doll store, and the people calling in had something was wrong with their dolls, and I had to talk them through it. I was just being like helpful. And it was a funny, strange scene. I had no idea how this fit into what the bigger picture of the show was. And here's something rare. The person who went in before me was like an older woman. No, the person who went in after me was an older woman, like over 50 for sure. And the person who went in before me was like a teenage boy for the same role. So, which was very confusing for me. I felt like, okay, great. They really have no idea what this character is yet. So I guess all I can do is be myself or bring what I would normally bring. So then I got a call back for that. We did a call back. It was really similar, the same scene. There was maybe like 4 people behind the camera. They were all really nice. A couple callbacks, and then I did what is called a test, which I'd never done before. Test is like the final callback. And a test is weird because you get to see who else is testing for this role. It might be one other person, it might be 4 other people. You've already signed your contract, so you know what like money you would get, which is crazy because again, I had never tested before, so this was all very new to me. So you're sort of like, you kind of feel like you have this job. You've signed your contract, you've been to a bunch of callbacks, and then you walk into the test room, and I sat in a room with 3 other women who were up for the same role. And then you realize like, oh, I absolutely do not have this role yet. And the test was this very similar to the callbacks. They all felt really good. You know, you'll do a million auditions. Some of them, you know, you screwed up, you walk out, you never think about it again. Some of them, you know, you killed, you walk out and you feel good about it, but you can't really, who knows if you have the wrong color hair. And then some of them you walk out and you kind of go like, I did my best. But all of these ones I felt so good about. And I really don't normally I just sort of do my thing and try to forget about them. But every one of these auditions, it just felt like, well, I don't know how that could have gone better. But I know I'm not going to get this job because I never get big jobs like this. So it was fun. Maybe this director will remember me for some small role down the road, but I know I won't. I know I'm not going to get the role because it'll go to some celebrity, some famous person. But it was fun. And then, you know, I got it.
Yay!
Yeah.
So exciting. So let me move us to actually Bella has a good question for this moment. Bella.
Right here. Yeah.
Hi, Bella.
Gotcha.
Hi. Sorry, I'm nervous.
I am too.
What was it like on the set of The Good Place, and were you nervous at first?
Like for my first day?
Yeah.
Wait, where'd you go, Bella? Where'd you go?
I'm right here.
Oh, yeah. Gabe. Okay. I mean, I know it's not Gabe. So are you saying, was I nervous for my first day?
Yeah. And like, what was the set like?
It was, I was nervous, but I will say the thing I was saying earlier about us having this foundation, I felt like I know what I'm doing. So I was nervous because it was a big fancy show, and you know, I had met Ted Danson and Kristen Bell one time, but these are like these big fancy stars to me. I'm still like, oh my gosh, it's Ted Danson. And you know, I'm used to working a lot. I'm used to doing acting a lot, but not for, this is a much higher scale. You know what I mean? I'm used to doing, like Drusha said, Upright Citizens Brigade. I was, you know, working for 10 years doing theater. Like I was like, I know how to do this, but this is a bigger scale. So that part was nerve-wracking. But the fact that I had this foundation was so, I like, it's worth more than anything in the world. Like the fact that I could be nervous about the scale of it all, but not nervous about what I was about to do, about to bring, like I knowing if they give me direction, I will be able to take it. If they want, you know, I can try different things. Like I felt confident, which is great because acting is, a lot of it is, can kind of eat away at your confidence, and it can, you know, it's always this thing of like, is this good enough? And is this right? And what you guys are doing is the way to get over that, and to sort of, to know that you've put in the work and you've done it since you were your age. And, you know, so being in my 30s and having put in the work since I was your age, I felt ready. I just felt like I'm going to show them what I can do, you know, and I feel good about it. So you know, yeah, it was scary to be on a big fancy set and be with these big stars. But, you know, now I'm like looking at my phone and Kristen's texting me right now. You know what I mean? So you become friends with your people, and then you become friends with your crew, and you sort of start the way you guys are right now. You sort of start to feel like gelled in a different way. Like it's this thing that nothing else, it's like nothing else. No other job has this, where you get to feel like this weird little friendship family, whether it's for, a month of doing shows or 4 or 5 years of doing a TV show, whatever it is. It's like this cool little special thing that I have not found any other place.
Yeah. And let me call on Emily Castigar. Emily, there you are. Go ahead.
Hi.
Your question.
Hi, Emily.
So my question is, how did you prepare for the role of Janet?
That's such a good question. And it was I want to say hard and okay. So you remember how I said I didn't know when I auditioned for it, I didn't really know what it was. I was just playing like a helpful woman. When I found out what was all going on with Janet, then I sort of started questioning everything. Like, okay, so should I make her sound more this way, or should I put, like thinking of all these different things that I could sort of play her like. And because now the world was so much bigger to me. And I sort of, I'm not that I freaked out about it, but I doubted everything, like I didn't do it right. And now that I know so much more, there's so much more I could do. And so I talked to Mike Schur, the creator, about it. And he gave me this like freedom, which was when we saw what you did it was very nice, honestly. He said, when we saw what you did in the audition, we realized you were Janet. Like what you did, that is what the character became. So whatever your natural instinct is what the character is, which was such a freedom, and isn't always going to be the case with every character, obviously. But because they were writing it as we were going, we sort of informed each other of what this character was. So on one hand, that's like a lot of responsibility, but it's also freedom. And it's nice. I had never experienced this before, of like sort of creating a character with these writers. It is a cool feeling to be able to like trust your gut that much when you're acting, to just know this is right because I feel it. It's not, you don't always get that. I certainly don't always get that, but that was a cool feeling that I got to have for 4 years of doing that show. Not to say I didn't doubt myself. This is a funny thing I've noticed when I do things on TV, when I do a day of acting for TV and film and I get in my car and I drive home, on that drive home, all I do is think about each scene and think about the way I did something and think about the choices I made. And I always think those drive homes are not that they're dark, but I'm usually like, I did that wrong. That was bad. I am bad. I'm not good. I'm bad. And then by the time I get home, I can kind of like let that all go. And it's just something that maybe doesn't go away. And by the way, Ted Danson, who plays Michael, he's 72. He does that too. You know what I mean? There was one day, our first day back to work, season 3, day 1, season 3, Ted and I had this long day together where we were doing all of our scenes together. This is a man who has worked in TV longer than you guys have been alive. Well, I mean, almost longer than I've been alive. He's like a TV legend. And it was our first day back. We hadn't been, this is April. We hadn't been on the set since August. And you kind of have this like clunky feeling like, oh God, what is this character? What is this show? Like, how do I get back into this? And I got home and I was talking to my husband and I was like, I was terrible today. I mean, we're going to have to reshoot it. I was terrible. I feel so bad. Poor Ted. And then I got a call from Ted and he said the exact same thing. He was like, I was terrible. I hope we don't have to reshoot. I don't, it's like this thing that is, it was kind of refreshing to hear it from a 72-year-old TV legend that he also doubts himself. This is a weird little business, but not just business. Like it's hard, it is, it's easy to doubt yourself in this particular art form, maybe every art form, because it's all subjective and there's no such thing as good or bad, even though we know when it's good or bad, but like it's hard to know in your own brain. So again, doing what you guys are doing, getting into theater at this young age and doing real real stuff and learning how to do it is the best way to kind of have that confidence or get that confidence, or even if you're doubting yourself, know that you've got it.
Yeah, awesome. Liza has a fun question on that
Okay.
on that good or bad note you were just talking about.
And Liza, before you ask your question, can I just say happy birthday, Samantha?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I was wondering which was your favorite Janet to play, like bad Janet, good Janet, disco Janet.
That's a really good question. Because the answer is all of them. I think ultimately, like, good Janet it just feels like my heart and soul. It feels like so good to play her. It feels so comfortable and fun, and I could play her truly until the day I die, which hopefully is far. Woo! But playing bad Janet was such a like particular joy too, because it was so few and far between. I really just played her a few times a year. So when I would get a script and bad Janet would be in it, I was always like, oh yes, this is so, she's so like delicious. I don't know how to describe her. It's playing a character that's so positive and fun and sweet and nice, and then getting to play the exact opposite of that every once in a while was so lucky. Like, I can't believe I got to do that. I mean, the amount of different things I got to play on that show, I truly can't believe my luck, and I told the writers that all the time. I thank them. I asked them, I was, how will I ever thank you? How will I ever thank you for the rest of our lives that I got to play all these different things? I mean, Disco Janet was so fun. My only complaint about Disco Janet is that I didn't get to do her more. But Bad Janet was definitely fun, it just the difference of her and Good Janet was like, it was really, really fun. Yeah, real fun. Just fun, joy, only good stuff on that show. Every day was the funny thing about like when you get like a dream job or whatever, you get a job that you are so excited about, it's still a job. And sometimes it can be not as good as you thought it was, or the people are not as nice, or you have a show creator that's an egomaniac or something. There's, this business, Hollywood especially, is cuckoo, and there's a lot of cuckoo people. This job was perfect. Everybody was wonderful, from the top, from Mike Schur to the crew to everybody, the writers, everybody. It was just like, I didn't have a bad day on that set. I woke up like giddy every morning at like 4:45 in the morning. Even that, I was like, I get to go to work today. This is the sheet. Do you get that? This is the sheet. I'm holding the sheet. I'm in bed. Yeah, you got it.
Yay. That's awesome. That's awesome. Noah has a question for you. Let me find Noah for you.
Hi, Noah.
Hello there. I wanted to know, what is your all-time favorite show, like musical, play, whatever? What's your favorite?
Good question. Okay, we're talking theater, yeah, obviously. All-time favorite theater show, theater. Okay, there is, this is the first one that came to my head, so I'm going to go with it. Do you know the show Noise is Off? Anyone? That show brings me so much joy. I've never been in it. I've seen it a million times. I love that play. Love it. Want to be in it. Got to be in it. What am I doing with my life? But as far as musicals, what's funny is I have such a soft spot in my heart for Guys and Dolls because it was my first real musical with you guys. But then, I'm thinking of like the Assassins of the World or the Kiss of the Spider Woman. There's some like darker musicals that I really like. I miss theater so much. Also, just like in this time, it has watching a few things online, and the idea, I love going to movie theaters as much as anybody else. I do it all the time. If I don't get to go to a movie theater, I know this isn't the way it's going to be, but like if I don't get to go to a movie theater for the rest of my life, I can handle that. If I don't get to sit in a theater and watch a play, that I can't handle. I am obsessed with the experience of watching theater. I love it. I lose my mind doing it. Since I was a little kid, I remember the feeling of like, whatever children's theater. Oh, you guys are in, I used to go to this, what was the name of the children's theater I would go to?
Where was it? What location? Like,
it was like Walnut Creek. It was the Denizens. What was that? You remember the Denizens?
Ballet school?
It was like their,
is that
Fantasy Forum?
yes, Fantasy Forum. Yeah, yeah. So I would go see Fantasy Forum plays, and I would like, I think I would like leave my parents, and I would like run to the front of the stage and like watch it like this, and just be sort of transformed or transfixed for the next like few hours. Even after the show was done, it was like all I could think about. And I was just remembering a moment when I was in high school seeing a play in London and having a similar feeling. I don't know why I thought of this recently, but this feeling of like almost out of body. Like I love it. You guys do too. I mean, you know that feeling where you're watching something and you're in a different universe. And we have the weird, because we're actors, we also want to be up there. So it's this weird thing of like being sort of teleported to a different world, but also having this like desire to like, oh my God, if I want to be up there with you so bad someday. Anyway, so I really do miss seeing shows. I can't wait to get back to that.
I know. We will.
Yeah, for sure.
One last question from Kate Connor, and then we can open it up a little bit.
Hi, Kate.
Hi. My question is, who do you look up to as an artist?
Good question. There's a lot. I tend to really look up to and sort of, this might be narcissistic or self-centered, but maybe you guys do this too. Like, I tend to really look up to funny women who do comedy. And I think it's because that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? That's like what I love doing. So, like Maya Rudolph and Lisa Kudrow and Molly Shannon, these women that are like older than me. I mean, Catherine O'Hara, they're not Amy Poehler, like, not like I become obsessed with them. I'm a normal adult human, but they are like, they're it for me. I don't know how you guys, I know you all have people like this in your life that you just are like, I mean, is the term the bee's knees? I think it is. And I don't know what that means, but that's what they are to me. And the fun thing about, the fun thing about The Good Place, but also getting to do comedy. Like when I started doing comedy at UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade, it put me in this sort of, I don't know, like club where when I've met these women, the Lisa or Maya or Molly or Catherine, it's like they like let me, I don't mean to say they let me in the club. I mean, I'm like, please let me in the club. But there's something they like, I don't even know how to explain this. It's too like emotional, but they've like welcomed me in a way that could make me cry. You know what I mean? Like, it is the like luckiest thing in my life is that these women, they're not like, they're all so wonderful. They're who I hoped they would be. And they're also just regular people. You know what I mean? It's like, I think of Lisa Kudrow and I think of like this woman that I've been obsessed with since I was, your age, watching her on Friends and then on The Comeback and thinking like, this is a genius. She's larger than life. She's a god. And then I meet her and she's like the nicest woman you've ever met. So there's something about funny women. It's not a great answer, but that's who I sort of like look up to the most, is these women that I'm like, I want to be that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think I mean, I definitely do that. I don't know if you guys relate, but yeah, you look up to
kind of what you want to be. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so we can open this up a little bit if you're okay for just a few minutes. And see if anyone else has a question. I think Lachlan, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Hi, Lachlan.
I'm gonna start my video. Can you see me?
Whoa!
Yay!
I was wondering, when you were in New York or LA, and you had like these kind of small parts, like
Yeah.
like you were just in plays. How did you like pay your rent, or did
Great
you ever
question.
have another job with like food?
Yeah,
Stuff?
great question. And it's a weird question that we don't talk about a lot because I guess we don't talk about money and stuff a lot, which I get. But
Sorry.
that is no. I mean, I'm saying like it's a great question that at your age I would love to have known. You know what I mean? I feel like we talk about the love of acting and the love of art, but it's also like, well, if this is going to be our job, how do I live, right? So I absolutely had jobs while I was auditioning, while I was in plays. I mean, sometimes, you know, so basically I'm thinking like post-college, obviously. So sometimes you get paid a little bit to be in a play. Sometimes it would be an equity play and it would be more, which was great. That I think that's when I was like, oh my god, okay, great, this could be an actual job. Is like you get a real paycheck from being in a play. But then you do the next play and it would be less, and it's all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you find there's like the classic cliche of like waitering or waitressing, and it's a cliche for a reason. It's a flexible job that many actors do. You kind of, what I would say is you find something. Okay, how do I give this advice? Because okay. You find a job that allows you flexibility. So for me, it was waitressing or nannying, being a babysitter. A job that you would be okay leaving at the drop of a dime. Because if you get a show, if you get a whatever, you got to go. Yeah. So I would always try to take jobs that didn't like rely on me too heavily, I didn't have to give too much of myself to, because my focus was acting. And if I got a play or if I got an opportunity, I had to go. So, and I think I would imagine that it might be easier now than ever, because I feel like you could do online things. You could, I don't know if it's graphic design, or I don't know what there's so many options, and just you find your things, find your other things that bring you a little bit of joy. Like for me, I love working with kids. I love babies. Nannying was an easy job, an easy fix. So does that answer your question? Was there more to it? Yeah, no, you definitely. While I was at UCB, doing improv and sketch and getting to work with my comedy heroes, being on stage with Amy Poehler, I was getting paid $0 a day, doing sometimes 7 shows a week. It was the best time in my life. It was so fun. I was like living my dreams, and I was so poor. So I would babysit all day, go do a show at night. And I was in my 20s, so I was like, I had plenty of energy. And then, you just kind of got to find some ways to pay the rent. Of course. Yeah. But that is definitely a big part of being an actor, like being a making this your job. And then here's the other part of it is like, you can be on a show, like I'm on The Good Place for 4 years, and then I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, and luckily I have some other things going on, but if I didn't, like, that is the reality of the ups and downs of acting, is like, you are on a show, you book a commercial, you have an equity theater contract, whatever it is, and then the show closes or the show ends, and then you don't have a job. So you guys have to sort of be okay with the ups and downs of, it's not a steady job. It's not a job that if you desperately need, like, what's the word for like solid stability. I don't even know the word. Then, not to say this isn't the job for you, but it'll be more of a struggle to sort of wrap your little mind around that.
Right.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any burning questions as we end? Yes, Kate? Another Kate? Awesome.
Hi, Kate.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. My question is, how did you mentally prepare yourself for the test?
Wait, which test?
Like the The Good Place, like
kind of like that final callback.
The final
the
callback.
the test,
Yeah.
of course. Yes. Great question. I was like, which test is this? The test of acting? It was truly like years and years of auditioning. How do I explain this? I'd sort of gotten to the place with auditioning. Auditioning used to make me so anxious and so nervous, and I would get sweaty and I would have to like breathe, take deep breaths. And then something changed after doing it for a while where I decided I'm not going to give this as much power. I have, and you all have, we all have something special, whatever that is. So let's say I would tell myself, I have something special that I'm going to give these people, almost like a gift, almost like a little wrapped gift. And they're going to open it, and then I'm going to walk out the door, and I'm never going to think about it again. And because you don't have to ever think about your audition again, because if you get the part, they'll let you know. And if you don't, nothing. So it's like you do the audition and you walk out and you never have to think about it again. You don't have to be mad about it. You don't have to be hurt about it. You don't have to take it personally. There are going to be a million more. So I think the test was hard because at that point I wanted it so bad. I had gotten like a little taste of working with these people a few times and this contract that would sort of be life-changing, and that felt a little too good to be true. But I still, I could tell myself I'm here for a reason. They've called me back now 3 times or whatever for a reason. So all I can do is do what I do. And these 3 other girls are going to do what they do. And it's going to be different from what I do. And it's out of my hands. So it really is like, it's sort of giving yourself over and trusting your own ability and talent and gift or whatever you want to, however you want to think of it. Just like, I think in my 20s earlier, I used to walk into an audition room and look around and be like, okay, how can I be what they want? How can I, give them what they want? And then I sort of started realizing like, I have to give them what I have, and they're either going to take it or they're not. And it's okay. But it takes time. I'm telling you guys this, you guys are in your teens. You don't have to get that tomorrow. That doesn't have to be something that you just go like, I'm going to give them my gift and walk away. It's not as easy as just thinking it. It takes time. But I think if someone had told me that earlier, it's not about pleasing them. It's about like, you have something they want. You have the gift. You have the special spark that they're desperate for. And maybe it's this audition that they see that. And if not, it's the next one. Easier said than done, but that's real.
Yeah, that's great advice. And it is like a constant thing you are learning.
Yeah.
Telling yourself,
Yes.
I'm sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, awesome, you guys. We're just about out of time with Darcy. Did anyone have anything that they really, really got to get answered? And everyone got to.
Nathan.
Okay, Nathan, you're our last guy.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask about Upright Citizens Brigade and like what was the process like from like the first day you signed up, and what was the path to get to like becoming like a main like cast member?
Okay, sure.
For shows.
It's funny that you said like the day you signed up, and maybe I have said this before. Maybe I said this at the San Juan High School thing, but here's a funny thing. The day I signed, so Upright Citizens Brigade is a comedy theater in New York and in LA. And the day I signed up, I brought my little registration and my check in. Okay. Do you guys know what a check is? And the person behind the desk that was an intern at the theater was Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. I mean, this is way pre Childish Gambino. He was just an actor at the theater. He was an intern that probably got free classes by interning, which is so funny. And, now like we've been friends for 15 years, which is hilarious, but it's so funny to think back on the talent that came out of that theater is like, it's insane. So, I watched a show there. It's one of those things, like I watched a show, my eyes just bugged out of my head and I knew I had to be a part of it. So I signed up for classes, and it took a long time. It took for me to get onto that stage. The great thing about that school was as you take classes, you get to do shows. You're like, your final project is doing a show on that stage, but to actually be a part of the company and to be one of the main performers, it took years, and it took auditions, and it took rejection, and it took watching your friends get on and you not. And it's whether it's Upright Citizens Brigade or any theater company or any college theater company, like it's the same type of thing. Like you're coming up with your peers, and then people start to peak and people drop out, and it's, you get cast in one show and then you don't get in the next show. Like that's what I mean about like the ups and downs, and sort of having to like put your ego to the side, because I knew that I loved doing improv, and I knew that I had to be a part of this theater, and I knew that I had to be on the weekend team, and I knew that I had to be on the traveling team. Like I knew, I was like, this is my destiny, and I will keep at it. And I did. And it took a lot of time. I would say that for me, time has been a recurring theme, things taking a long time. And that can be really frustrating in this job. And somehow I think I saw a pattern that things take me longer, and I started being okay with it. So anyway, it took a long time, but it was some of the best times in my entire life.
Yay, thank you. I think I want to be respectful of your time. So thank you so much. It's 2:00, you guys.
That was fun.
Good. Thank you everyone for joining. Did you guys learn some good stuff?
No.
Yes.
Of course they did.
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys. This was really fun, and I feel proud of you guys. I feel like I know what you guys are up to. It feels very familiar to me. Like I did this with your teachers, and it's really going to get you a leg up if this is like the career that you end up wanting to do, whether it's acting, writing, directing. There's so many different aspects. Having this foundation is like irreplaceable. You're doing the right thing, even if it feels like a struggle or your other friends are off doing whatever. Like what you guys are doing is gonna help you so much in your life.
So true. Thank you so much, Darcy, and thank you for telling us about your journey and about how, being so vulnerable and letting us into like what it's like. I think a lot of us have had a lot of those thoughts and things go through our heads and hearts, and for me it's nice to hear that like you and Ted Danson and we all were the same. We're
right.
Really the same. And that's helpful in any profession you go into, and just being a human on the planet.
Yeah, so, that's totally true. You're so welcome. Thanks, Jerusha, Shayna. Thank you guys for having me. I love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay.
And thank you everyone for joining.
Wear a mask. Bye, guys.
Will. Bye, guys.
Bye.